Let's talk a little bit first about bait cast reels. Okay, now the bait cast reels, obviously a lot of how you set the drag is determined by the lure and the pound test of line that you're going to use. So let's talk a little bit about the slow baits that you have to actually set the hook with. Now the slow baits we're talking would be like a Texas rig, a jig, a football head jig, something that you're fishing on the bottom that you're working. You're not retrieving the bait, you're actually working it. And when you get the bite, you have to reel down and you have to set the hook. Now, when you're doing this, a lot of it has to do with the pound test line that you're using because if, say, for example, if you're fishing with 10 or 12 pound test line, you're obviously not going to be able to set the hook as hard as you're using 20 or 25 pound test line. So if I'm using 10 to 12, 15 pound test line, I want this drag setting here on the reel. I want to back it off a little bit to where if I set the hook like really, really hard, or not real hard, but if I set the hook hard on 10 or 12 pound test line, the spool is just going to slip just a little bit on the hook set. Not very much, just a little bit. Now, if I'm fishing heavier line, like 20, 25 pound test line that I'm not concerned about breaking on the hook set, I'm gonna have it even tighter. So if I'm flipping and pitching with 25 pound test line, when I set the hook, I don't want any slippage on there. I want complete power with it. Now, one of the reasons that I do set my drags a little bit tighter than most people is on a spinning reel, I free spool the fish. I don't ever rely on a drag to save me if a fish makes a run. If a fish is making a run, I always push the thumb bar there and I put pressure on the thumb bar and I let the line out on a free spool based upon how hard the fish is pulling. This gives me precise control over it. You cannot have a precise control with any drag system. I don't care what reel it is. You can't ever determine exactly the power of the fish. And another thing is you don't know how good the fish is hooked. You're assuming, if you put pressure on a fish, you're assuming that fish has got a good hook in it, but you don't know if it's got just a piece of skin or something, or it's got one treble hook in the back of it. So you always want to make sure that you thumb the free spool in order to fight a fish with. So in essence, the drag, in my opinion, is more about the hook set than it is about actually fighting the fish with the bait cast reel. One time that I will use a drag a little bit lighter on a bait cast reel, if I'm fishing say a crankbait that has some small hooks in it, like a wiggle wart or some type of a small crankbait like that, then I will back the drag off, and I want to be able to rely on me pushing the thumb bar, but just in case it fools me, I want to be able to have that drag loosen